Now, I'm going to give you a short introduction about Susan Sansenbaugher. When I met her, we met over at the restaurant. She's a patriot. She loves our country. She loves her family. She takes care of her mother. She was an intelligence. Of course, she is a woman, and we're proud to have the first woman, but she's not talking about that. She's talking about the years and the sacrifices that people made. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Good morning. I'd like to extend my thanks to the Ruritan Club, especially Donna Brinker, Edna Gilliam, the Beaver Township Police and Fire Departments, the bands, my fellow veterans, and all of you who have made this such a great event. Give yourself a round of applause. Today is Memorial Day, a day when we remember and honor those who have died while in military service. I want to start off by honoring all those Gold Star families who may be with us, families who have lost loved ones in combat, and to those of you who have lost friends, comrades, and fellow soldiers, sailors, Marines, Air Force, and Coast Guard in war, I say to you, I salute you. They have given their full measure, but they are at rest. You are the ones who must bear the full burden of loss, the guilt of surviving when they did not, the empty seat at the table that can never be filled. But I tell you this, there is a special place for those who, when called upon by their country and asked, "Whom shall we send? Who will go for us?" They stood up, raised their hand, and said, "Here I am. Send me." I want to also remind everyone that July 6th is the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Some 16 million served in World War II. Of those, it is estimated that only 500,000 survive. Make sure that you thank them too. I want to tell you a story, and as many stories go, let me begin by saying, once upon a time. Once upon a time, which seems to me a very long time ago, I was working in a library near Columbus when one day I was told someone was looking for me at the front desk. Well, this was rather odd because I worked in a windowless basement and few even knew I worked there. When I arrived, I found a young man who asked me if I was the one with the license plate that read 311th MI. I said yes. And then he asked me when I had been in the unit, and I said 85 to 87. But then he asked me the question that has haunted me every Memorial Day. Had I known his brother? The reason behind this question is one of those incidents that seems to get lost in the annals of history. On December 12, 1985, a plane filled with 248 troops and 8 civilian crew were returning home from a peacekeeping mission in the Sinai. It crashed in Gander, Newfoundland, killing everyone on board. It would be the worst single-day catastrophe in the history of the 101st Airborne Division. My unit, the 311th Military Intelligence Battalion, had provided several members in support of the mission. But the troop rotation with the multinational force and observers had begun just as I was arriving at the unit. That December, I was home for an early Christmas vacation with my family when the accident occurred. I returned to a mass of television cameras and news crews surrounding the base, visited by President Ronald Reagan, who I never saw. But what I did see was the devastation that this tragedy wreaked upon my commander, Ira Richardson, who had given up his seat on that plane so that a married soldier could go home to his or her family a few days early for the holidays. I saw a human resource woman who had been supporting the deployment crying in the bathroom several years later because she had lost a friend on that plane. And not once, but twice, I have been sought out because of 3 numbers and 2 letters that I proudly display on my license plate, in which tie me to that unit, their tragedy, for the rest of my life. I think about it every Memorial Day, and I tell you, no, I didn't know those individuals. But I knew those with whom they served, and I know they were a proud, unique, and patriotic group who did something special for the world, not by fighting in a war, but by helping to keep the peace in the Middle East. I would also like to remember another group who died in uniform but are often overlooked: women. Is that a surprise? Women have served in some capacity in nearly all of our wars, but in many ways their service has been relegated to second class. For instance, 21 contract nurses died serving in the Spanish-American War. Women were first fully accepted into the armed forces in World War I. Thousands served, but more than 400 U.S. military nurses died in service. In World War II, over 400,000 women served, and 543 women died, 16 from enemy fire. 39 women Air Force service pilots, or WASP, who were not even recognized as veterans for the VA services until 1977, died during World War II. 16 women died serving in the Korean War. 8 women had their names engraved in the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. 13 women died in the Persian Gulf. 1,035 women have been wounded, and 169 have died in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. 1 female soldier died in a plane crash in Gander, Newfoundland. Once upon a time, perhaps it was yesterday, many of us placed flags on the graves of comrades, friends, and fellow patriots who have passed in celebration of Decoration Day, now known as Memorial Day. I too have taken part in this ceremony. I too have visited battlefields and cemeteries across this nation, which bear names such as Lexington, Concord, Yorktown, Stones River, Chickamauga, Chattanooga, Tennessee Mountain, Gettysburg, and yes, Arlington National Cemetery. And you know, I've never once seen a distinguishing designation for combat-only casualties. Of the only over 58,000 deaths in Vietnam, 10,786 were non-hostile. Between 1980 and 95, years when few wars took place, between 1,040 and 2,465 died each and every year in uniform. And of the 15,000 who have died since 2006, 72% have died in non-war incidents, many in training. And I am proud to say that we honor them no less, miss them no less, or grant them no less our respect and gratitude for their service. I leave you with this thought.